Okay, welcome back to another recipe testing vlog. I was gonna post one last week. I started filming one, but then I was in Vermont the second half of the week and I just didn't end up really baking that much. And the lighting in my parents' kitchen is just so bad and there's just people coming in and out all the time. So I just was like, okay, I'm gonna wait until this week to post. And also I actually gave it a shot editing the footage that I had taken, but something was just messed up with the footage. I had turned this oven or the stove light on and it messed with the kind of like light waves in the camera. So it just looked really wonky. So I was like, okay, I'll just wait and post a better video next week. I have so much to do this week. I have so many videos to film this week, and I also have just recipes I need to test because Thanksgiving is, even though it's like a month away, I mean, people have already been testing Thanksgiving recipes for weeks and I am definitely a little bit behind on that. And I'm doing a whole series on social called Swedish Thanksgiving. I think I talked about it in the last vlog I posted, but last year I did a Swedish Christmas at Food 52 and it did really well, and it's just a fun way to kind of tie in my Swedish background and everything. I feel like I get really roped into just like making very classic fall or seasonal recipes that I almost sometimes forget that I want to post more Swedish stuff. So this is like a way to really keep me on track. I've been planning out what I'm gonna make. I'm still deciding. I really want to do like a Swedish inspired turkey, but I'm having a hard time deciding like what that should be. So I'm just trying to think like what are Swedish spices that I can do that is a little bit different than what you would do in the US. And today, this is kind of unrelated to that series, but I've been testing a pear and frangipane olive oil galette. I really like baking with olive oil, but I don't do it that often. But I think olive oil is a really great alternative baking fat for people who are dairy free. But I've had some issues with it. I really thought I was gonna be able to like knock it out the first time, but I'm definitely gonna have to test it again. What I did, I'll show you it. It looks pretty ugly, honestly. And that's not because the pear's brown, that's because I added way too much cinnamon on top. So yeah, because I used green pears. It kind of looks like I used red pears. My camera stopped filming for a sec because the card was full, so hopefully it didn't cut out anything. But you can also see that the crust is pretty light, and that is because there's no, I mean, there's olive oil in it, but there's no like browning fat on there. There's no dairy. And so I think I have to supplement with maybe adding some like dairy-free milk in the egg wash, because I just did egg and water. And you know, with a galette or a pie, you want it to be nice and golden brown. So I actually think, and then with a frangipane, it just kind of overbaked, and I felt like I was just feeling confused with the recipe as I was making it. So I'm honestly completely changing directions. I am gonna poach some pears, because the whole idea for this recipe was that it's an olive oil spiced pear galette. So the frangipane wasn't even, or the almond wasn't even like a big thing to begin with, so I feel okay with leaving that out. So I am gonna poach some pears. I'm gonna do spiced poached pears with cardamom, a little bit of cinnamon sticks, ginger, vanilla bean paste, and then I'm gonna slice them and then assemble them onto the galette with the same crust and just a little bit of brown sugar underneath. And then it's just gonna bake off really, really beautifully and glossy, and then I'm gonna reduce that liquid and kind of brush it over afterwards and then serve it with whipped cream, I think, just to keep it simple. And that way it reduces the step of having to make the frangipane, and also just like makes it a little bit more beautiful, because this is just not gonna cut it. I don't have time to test that again today because I'm gonna make some Swedish meatballs, I think. It's light out still, but it's, first of all, I don't have enough pears, so I have to get more pears. And the poaching, it's gonna take like a while, so I'm just gonna do that tomorrow instead, and then run to the grocery store after I finish work. But yeah, Vermont last week was amazing. It was so nice to spend time with my family and actually go for a hike and be outside. And we went to this really great farm kind of close by that has food and farm animals, and it's called Filo Ridge Farm. If you're ever in Vermont, it is so good, and it's such good quality, all their food, and they have a little store, and it's just very Vermont-y, but like also kind of like high end. And then I spent a lot of time with my brother and my sister and their friends, which was really nice. And then I got back yesterday. I was supposed to get back on Sunday, but my flight got canceled. But I'm excited to be back and just like try to like make as many recipes as I can this week, because I do really want to get ahead on the Thanksgiving series because people love Thanksgiving recipes. And I also just decided that I'm gonna have a Friendsgiving, I think November 13th. My birthday is November 16th. But we are going to a wedding that weekend, and we've never had a big enough apartment where we can host people for Friendsgiving, and we never plan in advance because I feel like people have so many Friendsgivings leading up to it, so you have to kind of be early to plan or to like send out your save the date. So I decided today, I texted my friends and asked if they're free that day, so I told them to save the date. That'll be a great way to just test a turkey recipe too and have lots of people to eat it. And that I'm really excited for because I just love hosting, and that's gonna be really fun. I forgot to mention, this is gonna be like a recipe testing vlog, but also just like what I cook in a week, kind of. Sorry, I keep looking down, I just stepped on a green pea. We're gonna make saffron monkey bread, I think, or maybe we'll make that next week if I don't have time. We're gonna make some fall donuts, TBD on the flavor. We're gonna make the meatballs, another galette, and then I have to make mulled wine too, like Swedish glögg. So here is a galette. The design isn't awful, but it just does not look that great, especially now that you know that it's not red pears. But still have to taste everything because we are testing the... Wow, this is actually much flakier than I thought it would be, because oil obviously doesn't harden at room temperature, and it doesn't act the same as butter when you bake it, so it's not going to give that like super, it's not going to help create like air pockets the same way butter does in a crust, but it still looks pretty flaky and crumbly. It's actually really good. I do think the almond layer is definitely a little bit overbaked, and obviously it's just not that cute. I think the next version is gonna be better. I'm just happy at least that I know that the crust tastes good. I think we have maybe a little bit too much milk, but I guess we'll see once I start mixing it up. Okay, so I know we didn't do a lot of cooking yesterday, but today is a new day, and I'm gonna test a recipe for a ginger cake. Okay, so I just made the batter and it looks really good. I tried making like a dairy-free buttermilk by just mixing oat milk and then also a little bit of vinegar, and I feel like it really thickened it up. And then I just did my favorite method of creaming or whipping eggs and sugar and then adding the flour, milk, and the fat, and it tastes really good. Very like mild spice, and it does taste like a Swedish gingerbread cookie. As I just mentioned, I've been having a hard time deciding how I want to decorate these, but I decided I was going to candy some orange slices. So I sliced the orange, then I cut it into quarters so that they would be small enough to fit on the mini cakes, because I'm going to decorate. I know I made it like this, but I'm going to slice it into rectangles, I think, and then individually frost each one just so it looks like a mini cake. And obviously if you have whole orange slice, it's way too big to add to the cake, so that's why I decided to quarter them like this. And then I also have some rosemary that I'm gonna do. I think I'm maybe gonna skip the cranberries for now and just do orange and rosemary, but I really love candied oranges. Technically you should make them the day before so they have enough time to dry, but honestly it doesn't matter that much. I like to just make it right before when I'm already making the recipe, but obviously you can make that if you want. Also decided that while I wait for the orange slices to cook, because it's going to take an hour and the cake to fully cool, because obviously I don't want to frost it when it's warm, I'm going to start on the meatballs. I'm going to go change real quick and then I'm going to start. I am excited because I love Swedish meatballs. This is the shirt I landed on. This is from Red Runway, and this is not usually something that I think I would buy, but I am really into stripes right now, and it's in my closet, and I feel like I wear a t-shirt in like every video I have, so this is what I'm wearing. It's like a little, I think I should have gone a size up because I feel like it should be a little oversized. It's like a little tight in the waist and then kind of wide in the shoulders, so if if you get the 7 runaway, maybe get a size up if you want a little slouchy. But for the video's sake, it will look fine. Okay, so I finished making the meatballs and they look incredible. I haven't tasted one yet, but they look like meatballs should. And then here is the sauce. I think I might have made a little too much. I might decrease it in the recipe, but I'm personally like the more sauce the better. So now I'm gonna plate this. I had written like an original, or I had written a recipe down. I added way more soy sauce and more blackcurrant jam jelly than I thought I was gonna add, and also a bit more cornstarch. But it turned out really delicious. And you know, this bird. The blackcurrant jelly isn't like super necessary if you don't have it, but it adds just that like a little bit of sweetness to the sauce, and it's so good. And it reminds me of the sauce that my grandpa always makes, and he uses lingonberry jam usually. And sometimes adds brown cheese, which is so good. But lingonberry jam is a little bit harder to get. So that's why I'm using blackcurrant, and because it's also a normal thing to add in Sweden. I just finished making, let's see if I can pick this up, the meatballs. So it's gonna be like little, it's obviously Swedish meatballs. It's gonna be like an appetizer. So I also have toothpicks and more of the currant jelly. And these little bowls are actually made by my parents. They have a glass blowing studio, if you haven't heard me talk about it already. It's in Burlington, Vermont, and they're called the Jenny Lind bowls, and they're so cute. I have one for the toothpicks and one for the jelly. But this is perfect because this is literally dinner. And fun fact, Swedish meatballs is actually the first thing I ever cooked Lucas when we started dating like 8 years ago, just because I feel like they're my favorite and they're such a staple. Actually just had a great idea. Instead of doing like a crazy amount of frosting, I can just do like one thick strip on there, because then you don't need it to really hold its shape that well, and also you don't need a ton of frosting. This cake is already decently sweet, so I just don't want to overpower it, and I'm also just like not the biggest fan of vegan cream cheese, so I'm gonna use this one instead. I did a few different designs. I did a squiggly, did a wave, and then I just did like a straight one, which has way less frosting. Okay, today we're gonna test a recipe for Earl Grey and fig donuts. I've been trying to think of what I can do for like a fall donut that isn't just like apple cider or like, pumpkin or like apple filling, because I feel like I've done a lot of that kind of stuff already. My hair, I'm having a weird hair day today. I can't really figure it out. But what I landed on is I'm gonna try to make like regular donuts, not with holes in them, but like filled donuts. And then I'm gonna coat them in like an Earl Grey sugar, and then I'm gonna fill them with a jam made of figs and a little bit of whipped cream. So TBD on how that's gonna turn out. This is gonna be kind of a test. But I just went grocery shopping. I got the cutest little boards for the table. I haven't done any like Thanksgiving or fall decoration in here yet. Honestly, I still have so much stuff to do in the apartment in general, but I saw these and I thought they were cute. And then I think I'm also gonna make some lunch. I'm gonna make like a Swiss chard and coconut and chicken dish. It's not gonna be anything fancy, but I remember one of my coworkers made it for lunch last year at the office and it was so good. And then I saw Swiss chard in the store and I was like, ooh, maybe I'll make that for lunch. And then later today, I am gonna go get dinner with a few friends in the city, which will be fun. I haven't been in the city, like out in the city in a while, I feel like. I'm wearing this sweater today. I got it from Rent the Runway. I usually don't wear such like bright colors, I feel like, but I actually really like this kind of fit. I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about it, but I'm really liking it. But I now feel like I have to also just really up my wardrobe game, because I feel like I have very little good fall clothes right now, or winter clothes. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna make a basic donut recipe that I've already developed. I'm gonna make it smaller batch because I don't need like 20 donuts here. I'm gonna make, I think, like 8 or so. And yeah, I'm excited to see how they actually turn out, because it's anytime I make a recipe that I haven't made before, or I'm like thinking of something new, it always ends up being different than what I pictured in my head originally. So it's always fun to kind of like see the end results. Okay, so I made a little Earl Grey sugar with just sugar and the inside of Earl Grey packets. And here I'm making a little fig jam. I only had 1 container of figs, so hopefully it's enough, but I'm only making 8 donuts. And then in here we have the dough proofing. The best thing about this oven is that it has a proof setting. Now I'm gonna make some lunch. I have Swiss chard, I have the coconut milk, and for a second I thought that I didn't have a can opener and was gonna have to go ask my neighbor for one, but I remembered I actually did just buy one. And then I have just some chicken breasts that I'm gonna fry up. I got some scallions, and I'm gonna add some ginger and maybe some turmeric. Definitely some garlic in there too. So this turned out pretty good. I wish I had added a little bit less chicken stock because it ended up being a little bit more soupy than I had meant for it to be, but it was kind of the perfect fall lunch. It's also so crazy how a Swiss chard or any type of green like that cooks down, because it looked like so much, but really like there's so little, which is crazy. So I think if I were to make this again, which I definitely would, I would add double the Swiss chard and way less broth to make it less soupy. But if you want to make something similar, I literally just did coconut milk, ginger, garlic, a little bit of turmeric, scallions, salt, pepper, a little bit of broth, chicken, and that's it. This is gonna be the perfect lunch for tomorrow too. I'm actually going to dinner with some friends tonight. I'm going with Emerald and Audrey, and we're going to this Japanese sushi place, I think. Okay, now I'm just weighing out the dough balls because I want the donuts to be exactly the same size. You definitely don't have to do this if you don't want to, if you don't have a scale, but here are the donuts. They're looking pretty good, except for this little weird spot. Okay, I made myself a second cup of coffee. I'm working on my collection for these mugs. I think I have like 3 or 4 or 5. I think I have 4 actually. They're from this place called Studio Ahoy. They have a little shop in Copenhagen, and every time I go to Copenhagen, which is probably at least once a year just because it's so close to Sweden, I get another cup. And next time I go, I want to get the like wider, shallower ones that they have. They look pretty good. This one obviously looks the best because it has that ring. That's like a telltale sign of like a good donut, I feel like. The other ones, I just don't think I flattened them out enough. This one's a little bit more like bally, but this one was nice and flat. I also have the fig jam or the compo here. I'm gonna now coat them in the Earl Grey sugar and then fill them with the jam. Okay, I'm realizing that I should have maybe put the sugar in a shallow bowl instead of doing it in this because it's kind of hard to get in there. And maybe use a little bit less Earl Grey because you can tell there's quite a bit in there. But I actually don't think it's gonna be too overpowering. So for some reason, I decided to fill them on the bottom instead of through the side. I don't know why, like you always fill them from the side so that it doesn't come out of the bottom. And it's just easier to like disperse the filling. I don't know what I was thinking, but they actually look really good, so I'm excited to try them. Here is the final donut. You can see the fig jam inside. I'm actually so excited to almost be done cooking for the day. I don't know why, I just like don't feel like I have it in me today. Then I have so much cleaning up to do, but we're gonna do a taste test. Overall, really good. The dough is really yummy. I do think I should have added a little bit more acidity to the Fig Jam, but I'm actually pretty happy with these. Definitely a unique flavor though. Okay, I think this actually is where I'm gonna end the vlog. I have some things to test tomorrow too. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I will hopefully see you again next Sunday. I'm gonna really try to continue being consistent and post every Sunday. Until then, I hope you guys have a great week and I will see you then. Also, if there are any other fall recipes or if you have any suggestions for Swedish Thanksgiving, definitely feel free to leave a comment. I'm always open to suggestions.